All right. It's time for the main event. First of all, guys, does Ben Shapiro not look like a dude that would watch the Barbie movie? Look at what he's fucking wearing. This is a grown man. He looks like he's like 12. I can't even take his facial hair seriously. Like, I can't. He looks like a small child, and I can't get past that. So, anyways, here we are. Ben Shapiro destroys the Barbie movie. He looks like Ken's stepbrother Billy. And beat off, yeah. He's the type of dude that gets removed from the theater. Sir, put the Barbie doll down, sir.
Back from the theaters seeing Barbie and Oppenheimer. I'm about to review both of them. I'm going to tell you which one of these is the best blockbuster of 2023 and which one is maybe the worst.
I bet he loved our movie, right, Ken?
For those of you who can't wait that long, I'm going to give my review of the Barbie movie in the most Oppenheimer fashion.
What the f? Run.
Fuck? Okay, that's mildly disturbing. That's some weird shit, man.
So the things I do for my audience, my producers dragged me to go see Barbie movie. Barbie the movie.
Hold on. Now, look at that face. You know they were like, okay, you gotta look disappointed. Stop smiling, Ben. Stop being so happy. You have to look like you're like upset that this is being done to you. Okay, and somebody pointed this out. Why does he have a notepad? I get that that's his Oppenheimer reference, but it's also really fucking weird to burn Barbie dolls. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird to me. I just think it's weird. Why does he have a notebook? And can you imagine being the person that sits down next to Ben Shapiro as he's like got his like notebook out and he's ready to start taking notes on the Barbie movie? Like, who had to sit next to this dude? Hopefully it wasn't a very packed theater.
Barbie the movie. And I have
LB.
thoughts. This video is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Let me begin with my generalized assessment of the movie. This movie is not just a piece of shit. This movie is a flaming piece of dog shit piled atop an entire dumpster on fire, piled atop a landfill filled with dog shit. It is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. On every possible level, it is a horrific movie. The only thing that can be said for this film is production design. Production design is really nice. The costumes are really nice. Also, it's really hard to screw that up. It's really hard to screw that up because you literally...
Oh, dude. Of course he was into the pink houses, bro. Yeah. He's like, I hated the whole movie except for the majority of the movie. Like, the majority of the movie was good except for the rest of it.
really have this to model after. All you have to do is this, but big, okay? It's really not tough. But put aside all of the beautiful costumes, which is there for the ladies, and all of the...
It sounds suspiciously like he liked this movie. It sounds like he's like trying hard not to like the movie.
Production design and the Barbie universe and all of that. Every joke that happens in this film happens basically within the first 45 seconds of the film. So, for example, Barbie turns on the water and there's no water. Ooh, because, you know, like in Barbie house, there's no actual water. Do you get it? And then she drinks, but there's no actual liquid in the actual cup. Oh my God, because she's a Barbie doll. Oh, I get it. Okay, that's all the jokes.
Okay, hold on. Is he mad about like jokes that are obviously Barbie jokes? They're like Barbie inside jokes. Did he come to a Barbie movie expecting it to have like, I don't know, Bernie Mac humor? Did he think like Dave Chappelle was going to be telling jokes? Did he think like Bill Burr was going to come out of left field? Like, those are Barbie jokes. Yeah, they're funny to people that like fucking Barbie, Ben Shapiro. Jesus Christ. Ain't that America? Little pink houses for Ben. Dude, Barbie made the most at the box office of any movie this year. 100 million and 50 million for Oppenheimer. No shit, huh? He did come to a Barbie movie. Oh, God, Renee.
There are no more jokes for the rest of the film. The movie's a shit show. Okay, so conceptually, the movie is a shit show. I want to ask this. Who is the intended audience for this film? Who's the intended audience for this film? So I'll tell you who the intended audience for this film is.
Okay, hold on. Before he goes into who the intended audience for this film is, I'm going to say who it is. Okay. First of all, kids, right? But second, it's also for people that grew up with Barbie. I'm 43, okay? Don't do the math, all right? I'm 43. That means that almost every movie that's made right now in some way comes from something that was in my childhood. Transformers, from my childhood. G.I. Joe, from my childhood. All the comic books movies, from my childhood. DC and Marvel, right? Even Oppenheimer, to be honest with you, is something that I grew up reading, right? I read about Einstein. If you guys don't know this about me, I love Einstein. Einstein's like one of my favorite people. I can still find flaws with him. But if he's about to say that it's just for kids, he's actually wrong, because it's not for kids. Because it's also for people that experience nostalgia, right? It's also for like, and I would even say not even for kids. I'd say it's probably for girls in their teens, not teens, but like preteens and older women, right? Because those are the people that play with Barbie dolls. I definitely played with a Barbie doll or two, okay? Mostly, I might have set a few on fire myself, okay? But I was like 12, so it was acceptable. Yeah, okay, let's hear what he says.
And I can tell two ways. One, the previews on the film, and two, the people in the audience. So the intended audience for this film is moms and their 8-year-old daughters.
Okay.
That's the intended audience for the film. I know because the previews for the film were all kids' movies. I'm talking like G or PG.
I disagree about 8-year-olds. I think that you're also talking like preteens. Preteens or young teens like 13, 14, maybe 15 as well. That's what I think.
G-rated kids' films. We're talking like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Trolls 4 or whatever it is. Those were all the...
Dude, if he goes in on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I will find Ben Shapiro and we will handle this shit in the parking lot. You don't talk bad about Leonardo, bro. You don't talk shit about Michelangelo or Splinter, specifically Splinter. He kind of looks like Splinter.
Previews, right? All the previews are actually directed at what the audience is supposed to be for this film. And if you look in the audience, it's a bunch of moms, like youngish moms, middle-aged moms, with their like 6, 7, 8-year-old girls. That's the entire crew.
Okay.
This movie is not made for any of those people. In fact, this movie is made for no one. This movie is going to make a bunch of money week one because the marketing effort has been extraordinary. I mean, whoever's the marketing team over at Warner Brothers is doing an amazing job. Week one, this thing is going to clean up at the domestic box office.
Dude, he's suspiciously Ben Shapiro. Like, he's low-key giving this movie a good rating. Like, he is low-key like, okay, so first of all, this movie is a complete piece of shit. But here's all the things I like about it. I wonder if Barbie is the most searched term on Pornhub right now. You know it is, DJ. Come on, we're a bunch of goddamn derelicts, okay? This is a world filled with derelicts.
My prediction is going to just absolutely fall off a cliff after that. The repeat business on this movie is going to be non-existent because it was written by two people who are so smug and self-satisfied, and Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, that they have no audience. I mean, like, who thought it's a great idea? Let's bring on the people who wrote late.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Ben Shapiro is a failed screenwriter or actor. I think he's a failed screenwriter. This makes sense. He's very upset. He is very envious. He's very angry that he couldn't make it in that world and Barbie could.
Lady Bird and Marriage Story to make a movie about a plastic doll that is generally played with by 5 to 9-year-old young girls. So the basic idea of the film, they really have no basic idea of the film. They don't know whether they hate Barbie or that we're supposed to kind of like Barbie. It seems they kind of despise Barbie as a fascist emblem, as we'll get to. The basic sort of premise of the film, politically speaking, is that men and women are on two sides of the divide and they hate each other. And literally the only way you can have a happy world is if the women ignore the men and the men ignore the women. That seems to be the final outcome of this film. I was trying to separate this into problems with plot and problems with character.
Dude, Ben Shapiro is going to make me watch the Barbie movie just to see if he's right. Jesus Christ. He's actually influencing me to want to watch the movie. Oh my God, Ben Shapiro. You're helping make money for the movie and you're making me watch the Barbie movie. You are an evil, evil little man.
And problems with the politics of the film, but they're all intertwined because the thing is just a mess. It doesn't make any sense. Plot-wise, it makes no sense. Character-wise, it makes no sense. So let's just go through it from the beginning. There's going to be lots of spoilers, but believe you me, I'm about to save you so much time because this movie is 2 hours. It feels like it is longer than the Wagnerian ring cycle. It does not end. Every scene is at least.
Okay, I don't speak nerd, bro. What the fuck did he just say? What kind of cycle? Somebody help me out with that one.
2 minutes too long. Every single scene, every beat is 2 minutes too long. It is a bad film. Put aside the politics. Like, really, I was sitting there with a bunch of my producers. I'm a little bit more political than my producers. My producers were watching this, putting the politics aside. It is a bad.
There's absolutely no way that people that work for the Daily Wire are not political. Like, I sincerely doubt that.
Movie. So why is it getting 91% on Rotten Tomatoes? Because the way that it works for the reviewers is if you have the right politics, and those politics are sufficiently slyly inserted, then it will get a 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, even if the thing is just dreck. And I mean, boy, is this dreck. This is a Death Star-sized piece of dreck. It is like, that's no moon. That's a dreck station. That this movie. Okay, so let's jump into it. I have like pages and pages of notes on this horrific piece of.
Oh
my
God.
goodness. Okay, so let's start right at the beginning.
Just imagine Ben Shapiro furiously writing on his notepad while watching the fucking Barbie movie, making everybody around him feel like fucking self-conscious. God, he's such a weirdo.
So it's from the beginning, you know what this movie is going to be, and it's going to be a very cynical take on what Barbie is, which is so weird. I don't know why Mattel would turn over its IP to filmmakers who clearly hate the IP. It's as though you were going to make Toy Story, except that toys are all evil. They're all bad, and you're supposed to hate them, and you should burn them. Because that's kind of the message of the film, is that the Barbies are bad for the world. Okay, so it begins by trying to uphold the original vision of Barbie. What was the original magical vision of Barbie? We have Helen Mirren here to tell us, in the form of a narrator apparently played by Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who's speaking from heaven. And we get a 2001 A Space Odyssey flashback. Which, again, who's the audience for this? Right? The reference points in this film, it references variously Marcel Proust. It references Robert Evans and the cinematography of The Godfather. It references 2001 A Space Odyssey.
My guy, I think you're looking like way too... Once again, he's looking at it from the point of view of like a fucking scriptwriter. He's like, here's all these things that are just bad cinematically about this movie. Like, why would anybody do anything in this manner? Oh my God, like people aren't... Like, yeah, and he might even be right, but Jesus Christ, I don't think anybody else has looked this deeply into the Barbie movie, Ben. I think you might be taking it a little more seriously than the rest of the people that are watching it.
This is a movie made for moms and their 7-year-old girls. Well, folks, wasting 2 hours of my precious time, 2 hours I will never get back, 2 hours where on my deathbed I will wish that I had not spent that time doing, makes me viscerally angry. But I'm going to talk to you about something that makes me much happier, and that is our trusted privacy partner and premier sponsor of the show, Express. Okay, so it starts with Helen Mirren explaining that back in the day, girls would only play with dolls that looked like babies. And then she says that this could be fun, at least for a while anyway. Ask your mother, because your mother actually hates you and doesn't like being a mom, you see. So if you ask your mom, she wants to play at not being a mom sometimes.
What?
Okay, so the basic...
What? Like, how did he get that from that? Oh my God. Like, that's where he went with that? Is that, like, what she's saying... I think the point of it is that you don't always have to play with dolls because, yeah, if all you ever had to do when you were a kid was play with dolls, don't act like you weren't bored when you were a kid, Ben Shapiro. We used to go outside and throw rocks at shit, bro. Like, that's how bored we were. This is why we got in trouble. Well, me specifically, this is why I got in trouble. Yeah, like, come on, man, it's not, she hates herself and she hates you.
The premise is Barbie is supposed to be the independent woman who liberates all womanhood. But she fails. And she fails for two reasons. One, she's actually a tool of the patriarchal capitalist system. And two, the real world has rejected the message of Barbie, which is that women should run everything. Okay, so this is all not implicit. This is explicitly said. At the beginning, the monologue, you have Helen Mirren saying, because Barbie can be anything, women can be anything. At least that's what the Barbies think. See, in the real world, women can't be anything. And that's one of the messages.
Okay, Ben, buddy, let's just dissect something you said there. That the movie explicitly says that women should rule the world and be in charge of everything. That is not explicitly said. Ben Shapiro is a very intelligent person. There's no fucking way he thinks it was explicitly said. This is clickbait.
Of the film. In the real world, men run pretty much everything, which is weird.
Ben, that's actually true. Ben, you know that. You actually like lobby for that, Ben. Like you're 100% the type of dude that's like, dude should be in charge of shit. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Greenlit this piece of shit. I mean, Greta Gerwig is a lady. She's making a good living off of this. Margot Robbie is playing the lead. In fact, the entire cast, aside from basically
Okay, and yeah, how many producers are women and how many are men? How many actors are men and how many actors are women? How many fucking executives are men? How many are women? Like, dude, the workforce is overloaded in higher positions with men. We all understand that. He would probably agree with that. This is statistically true. This isn't some kind of like crazy fucking idea that people are, some conspiracy theory.
Ryan Gosling is women. So, it seems like women are doing okay. But again, put aside the meta logic of it. I'm going to go through like a lot of beats here. So it starts off with the...
How many women characters are in Oppenheimer? How many men characters are in Oppenheimer? How many women characters are in Mortal Kombat? How many men? Like, dude, that's fucking dumb. You're using Barbie, a movie that's literally about women, to point out that women are doing fine because there's a bunch of women in it. That's fucking dumb.
The idea that mommy dolls are bad and insufficient. But then they criticize Mattel for discontinuing a mommy doll named Midge. Right? Midge is the pregnant doll and it was discontinued. They're like, that's bad. Wait, but hold on, you just said that dolls about motherhood are bad, but then this one, don't look for any sort of logical coherence. There is a Citizens United reference. They say all of the members of the Barbie Supreme Court are women. And then they are speaking out about Citizens United, that corporations are not people. It's literally a Citizens United reference. Who is the audience for this? Who is the 7-year-old girl who's like, yes, I too have a very informed perspective on the Citizens United decision. And then they say that logic and feeling at the same time, it doesn't diminish us. It proves that we are more than, right? It's all propagandistic. And then it sets up the dichotomy. The dichotomy is that men and women are in complete and utter contradistinction in terms of their roles.
Holy
so
fuck.
Women only exist if they are completely free of men, and men only exist if they are completely free of women. And the problem for Ken, the problem that's set up for Ken, is that Ken is dependent on Barbie, right? Because Ken is kind of secondary. And we also set up at the very beginning that Barbie doesn't like Ken. She finds Ken annoying.
Okay, I'm going to just point this out real quick. Does Ben Shapiro know that it's called Barbie? Does he know that this is a movie about Barbie? Does he know that the toy itself was literally about Barbie? Yes, Ken is a secondary character in every part of this equation. You didn't like the fucking Ben Shapiros of the world don't like their sons playing with dolls. That's why Barbie was the main theme. That's why Ken is a secondary theme, because girls are going to, in some way, see a Barbie doll that's a female and feel better about playing with that than the boy doll. That's what appeals to them. Ken is secondary. This isn't some kind of like they're fucking over the patriarchy. This is a movie that is literally for girls, about girls, with girls.
She finds Ken ridiculous, which, again, is sort of against the concept of Ken and Barbie.
No, it's not.
But the basic idea is that Barbie is an independent...
Have you ever seen Ken represented in any like movie, any show, in any way as being some kind of like manly leader? Like, no, he's always this like blonde, like semi-surfer dude that's kind of ditzy.
Woman, and Ken is completely superfluous. We then go to the beach, and there's a scene on the beach where the Kens are supposed to be the lifeguards, and the ladies are playing on the beach, and we get a series of gay masturbation jokes. Again, there's an audience for children. They're talking about beaching each other off, right? There's
That is kind of weird.
a line where Ken says to another one of the Kens, I'm going to beat you off. Get it? Get it? You get it? Because it's like beat you off, but beach you off. And then they repeat that no less than 4 or 5 times in the span of 45 seconds.
If I wasn't severely injured, I would beat you off right now, Ken. I'll beat you off with you any day, Ken.
Anyone who wants to beat him off has to beat me off first.
I will.
Okay, obviously some of the jokes are for adults. So first of all, he's implying that these kids will never get these references to these old movies and the way the cinema is being done and blah, 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 blah. So in his first statement, he's saying there's no way kids could possibly understand this movie. And then he goes to this and he's like, oh, here's something that adults talk about. That's probably a joke for adults. Obviously, the kids know exactly what they're talking about, and they get it because they know that these people are clearly saying this. It's like, no, some things for adults, some things are for kids. It's just like any fucking kids movie that's made. Like, all the Disney movies have jokes that are for adults in them. All the Pixar movies have jokes that are for adults in them. There are plenty of jokes in all of these movies that are specifically for adults.
We'll beat both of you off at the same time. Beats both of us off?
Nobody's gonna beat anyone off.
Bazinga.
Because it's just such a great gay masturbation joke.
Fun fact, out of the Fortune 500 CEOs, 52 are women. The CEOs are named Mike and Tom, outnumber the female. James, that is a incredible statistic. What's wrong with us? Yeah, dude, SpongeBob, DJ, my dad used to sit by himself and watch SpongeBob, okay? Like, Ben Shapiro didn't have a childhood, did he? This is what's going on right now. Ben Shapiro didn't have a childhood. Wow, it's totally new for adult jokes to be in kids' movies. Yeah, exactly, Bucket. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, these people live under a rock. They're the no fun party. Conservatives have became the no fun party. No one can have fun anymore. No, because if you do, I will criticize everything you do.
You got to go for it. I mean, what else will the 7-year-old girls in the audience think if you don't go for the gay masturbation joke on the beach? Clearly.
Okay.
We get black female.
Okay, and dude, obviously also Ben Shapiro has never joked around with his buddies because it's not a gay masturbation joke just because two dudes are saying some dumb shit to each other. Two dudes saying dumb shit to each other doesn't specifically make them gay. It means that they're secure in their heterosexuality and capable of making jokes like that without being like, oh my God, he might try to actually do it.
President Barbie, because this is, of course, the greatest of all possible worlds. So Kamala Harris, the Barbie version, is the president of the United States. And then we get the break,
how dare
right? Then we
they.
get the actual plot point. Plot point number 1. Barbie has irrepressible thoughts of death. So again, at this point, you might be thinking to yourself, wait a second, isn't this a kid's movie? Isn't this supposed to be made for 7-year-old girls? Nope. It's about existential angst over mortality. That's what this film is about. Now, again,
is Ben Shapiro about to cry? Did he just choke up a little bit? Holy shit, I think he just choked up a little bit. He did. He got his ass kicked all the time. Exactly, LB. He's like, I'm finally getting back at these motherfuckers. I have a platform. I have so many YouTube subscribers. Oh my God.
Relates through all of this is just more and more and more politics, right? One of the Barbies is a trans Barbie, and this is treated totally normally.
Oh, okay. Okay. This is why we're mad. All right, now we know. Okay, Ben. One of the Barbies is named Trans Barbie. Oh, God, that's horrific. Oh, it's terrible. Boy, how are the kids? They're just not going to grow up right now. They're all going to be trans now.
As though this is a female Barbie with a voice, again, deeper than my own. So Barbie starts to have these
Ben, everybody's voice is deeper than yours. I think my voice is deeper than yours, and I have a high voice.
irrepressible thoughts of death. And this comes along with physical symptoms, like, for example, her feet flatten out. Again, this is one of the few cute jokes in the movie, is that Barbie walks around, and just like a normal Barbie doll, when you take off the shoes, the feet are...
He likes it. He doesn't want to admit that he likes it. He's just like, okay, and once again, there was one funny joke here, okay? It was pretty
shaped
good.
like the shoe, like the high heel. But now she's turning into like a real world person, and so her feet collapse, right?
And didn't he, at the beginning of this fucking video, didn't he get mad that they made jokes about that? Didn't he say at the beginning of the video, like, the no water coming out of the shower was a stupid joke, and the no drinking out of the glass, or no water coming out of the glass was a stupid joke, but then he says this one's a good joke? The consistency is not his strong point. SpongeBob is for adult stoners. Exactly, James. Exactly. This is Cadence Morning. Yeah, it's this right here. Okay, all right. And it is.
And so she goes to see.
I actually once was editing some of my videos, and I was doing it at 1.5 speed. And dude, I sound just like Ben Shapiro if you speed me up to 1.5 speed. Don't do that. Don't do that. But it's true.
Weird Barbie. So Weird Barbie is a Barbie that has been played with too hard and has all the knowledge, not only about Barbie Land, but also about the real world. And apparently, there's a connection between the people playing with the Barbies and the Barbies. So if the people playing with Barbies are sad, then the Barbies also get sad. Weird that this has only happened to Barbie, because it turns out that lots of people are sad and have played with Barbies for a very long time. But that's the plot point. Fine. And again, the concept of like a Barbie that was played with too hard is very funny, because everybody has seen that before. And they somehow blow this. Somehow they make this into a not funny thing.
What?
So Weird Barbie is ugly, and she has bad makeup and all the rest of it. And she informs Barbie she has to go to the real world, and she has to find the person who is playing with her, and she has to make that person feel better, because that will heal the problem that she's having in Barbie Land. Okay, so we have our
Oh my God, it sounds like a kid's movie. No fucking way.
plot point, right? We have the thing that's going to launch us off into the rest of the movie. And then it's just a complete mess from here on in. At least to this point, it's kind of dumb but coherent. From here on in, it makes no sense at all. Again, Kate McKinnon sets up the dichotomy that pretty much the makers of the film hate Barbie by suggesting that you can live in Fantasyland with Barbie and you can take the Barbie shoe, or you can take Birkenstocks, right? You can become like a Portland lesbian and you can learn about reality. That's the
Holy shit, Ben Shapiro. You know, dude, if he was just like funny, if he would just make these as like jokes and not as like he's mad, it like half this shit would actually be funny for him to say. But like his anger and his angst like comes across so hard, and yeah, the cadence, of course. But it comes across so hard. Like if you would have said that Portland lesbian joke and you were like Bill Burr, that shit would have been funny. Dave Chappelle, fucking anybody else. I don't think Jim Gaffigan makes Portland lesbian jokes. Like, it would have been funny, but the way he comes across is just hateful, dude. He just, like, I'm so mad.
That's going to be the choice that you have to make. But not before she makes a joke about Ken and wanting to see the nude blob he is packing under those pants.
Somebody said that?
Perfect for 8-year-old girls, ladies. Mothers, just be warned. Ken and Barbie head off to the real world to try to find the person who is playing with Barbie. And
what's up, fatty? Dude, you came just in time, buddy. You came just in time, big guy. Yeah, I heard Matt Getz loves him some Barbie, dude. Oh, dude. Right? A wholesome lesbian joke from Jim Gaffigan? 100%.
And immediately upon arriving in the real world, Barbie is hit with an overwhelming tsunami of sexism. Like right away, boom. She walks in, and a bunch of men just leer at her and say, "Give us a smile, Blondie," which is something that no one under the age of 70 has said to a woman in the recent past. Give us a smile, Blondie.
Are you a fucking moron? I work in retail. I have literally heard somebody this year say to one of the girls that works at my store that she needs to smile. Ben Shapiro, he doesn't live in the real world. He doesn't.
Seriously? We get Barbie explaining that all of the men who are leering at her and gazing at her, they have an undertone of violence. Everything's she's threatened. She's physically threatened, because this is the real world. The real world is not like Barbie Land. In the real world, all women are victims. They are deep and abiding victims of the system. As we'll learn by the use of the word patriarchy no less than 10 times in this film. She gets arrested like twice for various crimes. Even the police officers are rabid, raging sexists. The police officers are hitting on Barbie. They're making observations about her appearance. Ken, meanwhile...
Okay, like, look, I have police officers in my family, and I love police officers. But if you think that police officers, like, all of them are, like, these, like, angels of humanity that are, like, just beautiful, wonderful people that should be protected and defended at all costs, there's definitely some fucked up people in our police force, okay? 100% there is. And if you think that there isn't a lot of misogyny in the police force, you don't know anything about the police force.
I was getting super happy because Ken, who's been sort of an underling in Barbie Land, now he's realizing he's part of the patriarchy, and the patriarchy is awesome. Ken is loving the patriarchy. Now, you might imagine at this point that the way the film is going to go is that Ken and Barbie are going to have to some sort of agreement about seeing each other as equal human beings. You might imagine that's where it's going to... Wrong. That's not where the film is going to go. You might have thought that what you were going to get was Ken gets treated with respect as a person, and Barbie gets treated with respect as a person, and that's a better... Nope, wrong. In the end, not to skip ahead, Barbie Land just gets restored, and the men are still subservient. That's the best version of the world.
My guy, you literally started this video by talking about who the target audience was. And you're a dude that is just like mad that dudes aren't getting enough like props in the movie. Like, I'm the guy who always says it, like, you don't like women shouldn't want men to be torn down women should want to be built up, right? Like you don't need to tear down men to build up women. Like I'm 100% on that opinion. But in a Barbie movie, I don't need fucking the men to be like have this like even like ground or some shit like that, or that they get props too. Like I don't need that. It's not my movie, bro. It's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking to watch the Barbie movie because it wasn't made for me. Imagine that something wasn't made for you.
Okay, so Ken is walking around and he's really enjoying the patriarchy and all of this, and he explains that men rule this world, and he goes to Mattel and all the members of the board are men. By the way, I'd like to see a corporate breakdown.
I would like to see a corporate breakdown. He is not possibly going to make this argument. Not possibly going to make this argument. No fucking way does he make this argument.
Of the Mattel board. I'll bet I can find it.
Okay, the Mattel board. Okay, thank you. I thought he was going to make the argument that there are more women, or as many or more women on boards than men. I'm betting money that if you looked up how many board members were men and how many were women, it would be hugely lopsided for men.
Like the CEO of Mattel for 30 years was a woman. So there's that. They pretend that like Mattel is all run by men. So now I want to know.
No, once again, he's misrepresenting this. They're not saying specifically that Mattel's board is all men. What they're saying is that in life, there's more men on these boards than women. They're representing it. The fact that Mattel made a movie that encourages diversity, the fact that Mattel made a movie or licensed a movie to help like empower women to be more, shows that they're already a company that embraces diversity. So if you're going to Google and find out that they have more women than most corporations do, or that they have a lot of women, or they have a CEO that's been a woman and she's been the CEO for 30 years, yeah, that fucking makes sense, you idiot. Because they actually believe that women should be empowered. Empowered? Empowered. Holy fuck.
Who's on the board? Okay, Chairman and CEO is a dude. The board includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It includes 5 women. So it's 6 men and 5 women. Clearly patriarchal domination.
6? Dude, even in your fucking attempt to show that women, like, dude, oh my god. There's still more men than women. I'm not saying it has to be even. I'm not even saying that there has to be more women than men. But if you're going to make the point that there's, like, the women are somehow, like, fucking misrepresented here, or men are misrepresented, I don't think that makes any sense at all. I don't know. Maybe I'm just like, he's starting to get to me.
Clearly patriarchal domination. Just wanted to look that up just for the sake of, accuracy. Whenever I do these reviews, like, oh, you're taking the movie too seriously. The movie takes itself seriously, guys. It pretends to be a comedy, but it's taking itself super seriously. Fine. So it's all men at the top of Mattel, and they realize that Barbie and Ken have escaped Barbie land. And this presents some sort of threat. What kind of threat? Because the writers are shitty. They don't bother explaining. They're just like, a threat. And Will Ferrell acts all weird and goofy, like Will Ferrell. And he's funny because it's Will Ferrell acting weird and goofy. But he's not funny because it's just Will Ferrell.
Like, how many times has Ben Shapiro admitted that he liked a part of the movie? I'm going, like he said a bunch of dumb shit, so I'm going 30-70. But his, like, this is the biggest, trashiest, most terrible movie of all time is not, it seems sus. Because he seems to have liked a lot more about this movie than his original assessment would make you think.
With no actual plot or dialogue to speak of, just being weird. We'll fill that in later. There's so many places in the script where it's basically like the writers just...
Oh, wait. No, a movie with Will Ferrell where it really doesn't have much of a plot line that makes sense. Yeah, that never happens.
They left a gap and they're like, we'll leave a couple asterisks, we'll fill it in later. And then later they got there and they're like, nah, we'll just skip right over it. Fine. So they figured they got to track down Barbie and Ken. And meanwhile, Barbie is trying to track down the girl who's playing with her. And she mistakenly thinks that it is a teenage girl.
DJ, that's the slide, bro. That's the slide that Barbie goes down and into the house, because Barbie houses are pimping, dude. They've got a slide to, like, get you to the second floor. I thought about putting a pole, not a stripper pole, but a pole, because my house is up there and I'm in the sub-basement. I was thinking about putting a pole, like a fireman's pole, because I'm a man. Okay, not a stripper pole. down into the basement. So, mildly Barbie-like.
Who is playing with her and who is unhappy. And at this point, she receives a lecture from the teenage girl about how Barbie has ruined the world and actually is fascist. How Barbie is a sexualized capitalistic emblem. How Barbie has...
Okay, Barbie was sexualized. Barbie has, like, perfect fucking proportions. Barbie's a blonde white woman, okay? Like, yeah, she was sexualized. Like, once again, you don't have to, like, act like these things aren't true to still like stuff. You can be like, hey, we've gotten better since then. But yeah, that when she was created, 100% she was sexualized. Like, yes. Like, you can agree with that, and it doesn't make your position any weaker.
Created unattainable feminine ideals. How Barbie is ruining the planet with rampant consumerism. You get like this full lecture right in the middle of the film. It's truly awful. It's truly awful. She's called a fascist. By the way, it only sets up the only good line of the film. Truly, in my opinion, there's one good line in the film. And that is where Barbie is trying to contemplate whether she's a fascist or not. And she says, I don't control the railways or the flow of commerce. Now, there's...
I like how he keeps pointing out. He's like, I hate this movie. I hate this movie. Okay, here's this one part that I really liked. Okay? This was the one part that I'm going to talk about 100 times through this video. This video says 26 minutes ago.
There's only one problem with that line, as with the entire movie. There is no character consistency. Barbie is supposed to be an idiot bubblehead piece of plastic from Barbie land. How does she know what a fascist is? How does she know about the...
It's a joke, Ben. It's a joke. Where's that fucking rapper? What was it? Not Lil Wayne. Fucking Little Somebody. It's a joke. We need that gif right now.
Flow of commerce. Like, again, just in terms of character consistency, like characters who actually are the characters, makes no sense whatsoever. So, meanwhile, Ken is wandering around, enjoying the patriarchy more and more and more. And he keeps asking men about the patriarchy. And at one point, he asks a dude about the patriarchy. And the guy says, well, that's not really the way that it works here anymore. He says, really? He says, no, it still works that way. We just hide it really well. Again, you can't even present the
Dude, Ben feels called out right there. Ben feels so called out. Dude, his feelings got hurt. He's like, we don't try to hide it. We do that shit in front of people. Dude, he knows that he's part of it, dude. He knows he's part of it. Can you use your 2-for-1 coupon, Fatty? Only if you get on the poll too, buddy. Fatty, if you come get on the poll, bro, we'll have an Angry Ginger Uncle Fatty night. Aw, dude, it's going to be a lot of whiskey.
mild other side of the film. And this sort of nonsense continues. The first third of the film is about how Mattel is kind of bad for creating this fancy land. Second third of the film is about the real world evils of the patriarchy. Oh, the patriarchy. Oh, the patriarchy. Culminating in an idiotic line where one of the low-level members of Mattel is with the board and Barbie is looking for a woman at the board. And the low-level man says, I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman? No, you can't parallel park. That's what makes you a woman. Okay? And in any case,
wow.
we get...
Holy shit. Ben Shapiro is an angry little man. Holy fuck. What is it like living with Ben Shapiro? Good God.
Get here a few obscure jokes about Proust Barbie, because again, Noah Baumbach has to show that he wrote some of the script. He made a reference to Proust. Doesn't that make him clever? Ooh.
He is so mad. Fuck. I don't know if I'm watching him in a shitty video, and I'm not that mad. Fuck. This is like anger inception right now. This is the worst book report ever. Nathan. Oh my God.
Next, he will make a reference, I would assume, to Victor Hugo. Wow. Proust. Woo. Idiots who think they're smart. It's total. Okay, then Barbie escapes the Mattel building. They were going to package her up and they were going to send her back to Barbie Land. And she instead runs and she escapes the Mattel building.
Fuck.
And she hooks up with America Ferrera. So America Ferrera is the actual one who's playing with Barbie as a youth. And it's her daughter who Barbie had originally...
Okay, first of all, that's a fucking cool-ass name. Is there really a person named America Ferrera? That's probably a fake name, though, right? Like, that's a pseudonym or something like that. If her parents named her that, that's a badass name.
Approached. Twist! Okay, and she decides that in order to escape the Mattel executives, she's going to have to bring both of them back to Barbie Land. Why does she bring both of them back to Barbie Land? No one knows. There's no actual... There's no explanation as to why she's supposed to bring both of them back to Barbie Land. Supposedly, it's because she needs to escape back to Barbie Land, but she could do that without the two of them. But she decides she's going to bring them back. So she brings them back to Barbie Land.
Dude, Ben Shapiro is taking this movie so seriously. I want to see him review Toy Story. I think could be a thing. I think they should have Ben Shapiro just like actually like fucking review movies. Specifically movies that were supposed to be funny or enjoyable, and just watch him just like get intensely serious and just tear into movies that were supposed to be funny, but talk about them like this has no plot.
Meanwhile, the Mattel executives are chasing her.
Ben ruins everything. LB, dude. I don't want to like in any way become like involved in anything Ben Shapiro's doing, but I think I would do this. I think like we should contact Ben Shapiro. I don't think Ben Shapiro is going to talk to me, but we should contact him and pitch him Ben ruins everything. That is a money maker if I have ever heard of one.
Now, question: why are they chasing her? They achieved their goal. Barbie's back in Barbie Land. Why are they still chasing her? No one knows. It doesn't make any sense. They literally say there will be consequences you can't even imagine, and then they're like, "What consequences?" And they're like, fill in the blank. And some dude says something about a podcast with 2 trees. You're like, that's the laziest shitty writing. God bless it. Okay, anyway. So Ken, in the meantime, he has already headed, while she was, futzing around over at Mattel, Ken has already headed back to Barbie Land, where he has immediately established.
Dude, Ryan Gosling's kind of ripped. He's looking kind of ripped. Is Ryan Gosling always that ripped? Only thing I ever saw Ryan Gosling in was Remember the Titans.
The patriarchy. So just to point out here, the point of the film is that the matriarchy is amazing. Right? Women are amazing at everything. Ken walks.
Okay, first of all, I love women. Okay, Ben, I know that you're not a fan, but I love women. Okay, and this is what I would say in the defense of the matriarchy is there hasn't been a matriarchy. There's only been a patriarchy. What if we just I don't know? What if we just let them try for a while? What if we just step the fuck back? Because we're not doing very well. If you have seen the state, in fact, I know you've seen the state of America because you bitch and complain about it all the time. Why don't you just let some women try this shit? Because apparently we're not doing a very good job. If all you can do is cry and complain and whine like a little bitch. That's what I think about it.
And within 2 seconds, he has taken over all of Barbie Land. And he has turned it into the Kendom. Within 2 seconds. So apparently the women are so unbelievably competent and brilliant and great at everything over in Barbie Land that an idiot man walks in and takes over the whole place inside of 2 seconds. Fine. So he takes over the entire place. We later learn that's because the women, they didn't know what was coming. We later learned they didn't have immunity.
Dude, it's Barbie Land. What the fuck are you talking about? I think the point... yeah, never mind.
And the way that they get immunity is by learning to hate the men. That's the way that they have to learn to hate the men. Okay, so Ken decides he's gonna go.
Dude, Fatty, when we do the strip thing, we got to record it on our laptop because that's where the big money is. You got to have a really good laptop. Like my laptops are kind of boring. Me and you, bro. Turn my mic up a bit. Oh, where am I at out here? Doot. Audio input capture. There we go. Is that better?
Go back and he's going to establish his patriarchal system. We only learn this when Barbie heads back with America Ferrera and Random Daughter. And Ken immediately starts acting like the jerks in the patriarchy, right? He calls her baby. Oh no. He calls her baby. The greatest of all insults. He calls her baby. And then America Ferrera is trying to...
He's like so mad. I just can't get over how angry he is about like the dumbest little shit. He calls her baby. Like this, that's like something Ben Shapiro calls his wife. And so it just like, it hurts his feelings so much. Imagine that people make jokes about the shit that you do. Imagine that. He was bullied. 100% Ben Shapiro was bullied when he was a kid. And these are the same fucking people that are like, so what, you were bullied when you're a kid, get over it. This is what kids that get bullied turn into, just so you guys know, okay?
To explain to Barbie what exactly is going on. And she's like, it's just like the indigenous people and smallpox. They had no immunity. Howard Zinn wrote the script. So the ladies in Barbie Land had no immunity to the magic of the patriarchy, the magic. The women were seduced into... So just to point out here, The actual argument the movie is making is that if women enjoy men, it's because they have been brainwashed by the patriarchy. They make this message explicit in just a few minutes in the film. And when I say a few minutes,
Okay, but Ben, buddy, little bro. Is that not exactly what has been happening up until like the year like 2013? This is kind of like when people talk about slavery, like that was like 2,000 years ago. It was so long ago. Like, it was like 250 years ago. Not even 200. I mean, fucking like 200. Shit, the civil rights movement was in the 1960s. Like, what the fuck do you mean it was a long time ago? Like, this idea, like, oh, like, don't women have equal rights now? We let them vote, okay? They can have bank accounts now. Like, that doesn't, like, erase history. And it also definitely doesn't erase, like, the misogyny that's left over from that. We're getting better, and I love that about America. I think it's amazing that America is getting better. I think that we're becoming more diverse. I think we're becoming more accepting. I think that the things in our past are having less of an impact every fucking day because certain people are out there making an attempt to try to make the world a better place for all people, not just for you. Not just being selfish pieces of shit that only want things better for them. Like, they want it for better for everybody. Like, that's why it can be a theme in a movie about women empowerment for preteen girls. Yeah. It's still acceptable.
I mean several years, because this film took years off my life. It is long, it is boring, and it's terrible. Okay, so the Kens are about to perform. None of this makes any damn sense. Okay, the Kens are about to have a vote to change the Constitution. Why? Ken literally just seized power. He's a fascist. What the f*** is he gonna vote for? Why are they voting? Like, he seized power. Also, what is the breakdown demographically of the Kens and the Barbies? Are there as many Kens as Barbies? Because why would they hold a vote? The Kens appear to be in a minority in Barbie land. There are a lot more Barbies than Kens. So if that's the case...
I think Ben's missing the point. I fear that Ben's missing the point.
Why even do the democratic vote thing? Why not just seize the power? Because then you wouldn't have the rest of the dumb plot of this stupid film.
In the corner.
So they decide they're going to hold the vote. And not only are they going to hold the vote, they're going to be very fair about it. They're going to hold it in 48 hours. They're going to hold it in a couple of days to make sure that the Barbies have time to actually form a counter plan. Why would they do that? No reason. Asterisk, we'll fill it in later. Okay, so they decide they're going to hold this dumb...
Okay, for a man that complains about a lack of plot, that's literally the plot. Oh.
Dumbass vote. And the Barbies learn about this, and Barbie is very depressed because Barbie realizes that all the other Barbies have been taken in by the patriarchy, and this is extremely bad. Now, here's one place where you have a serious continuity error in the film. So, Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie at the beginning, half the time she plays Barbie is kind of stiff like a doll, and half the time she plays Barbie is just kind of normal. And so now she plays it super stiff like a doll. She sits down, in kind of 90-degree position like a Barbie.
Let me guess, Ben. When she's in Barbie world, she plays stiff like a doll. And when she's in the real world, she plays like a normal human being or like a real person. That's my best guess.
Would, and she keels over in the 90-degree position. And it would be funny, except she hasn't been doing it the whole film. Again, the level of inconsistency and bad filmmaking here is just off the chart. They needed somebody.
Bad filmmaking? It's the fucking Barbie movie! God damn it. I'm gonna fucking have an aneurysm, dude.
To actually sit down with them and be an adult in the room, and no one was there. So, at this point, America Ferrera and daughter decide they've given up on Barbie because Barbie won't fight for herself. And so they take off. And Michael Cera, for no reason, is in this film. And he's in the back of the car, and we don't...
What are you talking about? Michael Cera's in the movie. Dude, Michael Cera fits in a Barbie movie so 100%. You just spoiled that for me, and now I'm actually kind of upset about that. Oh, God, that would have been such an amazing surprise. Michael Cera is like the perfect actor for a fucking Barbie movie.
We don't know why.
Yeah, I'm confused about that.
And it serves no purpose other than to have a random fight scene. And also so that they can make a Trump building the wall reference. Right? They're apparently the Kens are going to build a wall to keep people from getting in or getting out. Now, here's the weird part. No one has ever entered or exited Barbie land before. Why are you building a wall? What is the necessity for a wall? No one explains. It's just...
Wait. What do you mean that nobody's ever entered or exited? Didn't we just, like, have like how many fucking minutes? 22 minutes of this guy talking about the movie where people entered and exited Barbie Land like multiple times. What the fuck? I am taking crazy pills.
Just a dumb Trump reference so that everybody who is friends with Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig can laugh and nod like the morons they are.
Oh, you mean like half the fucking country that voted for Biden that thinks building a wall is a dumb fucking idea? Yeah, you think maybe, I don't know, 70 million people is enough people to validate making a joke? I don't fucking know. I'm going to guess so.
And so the daughter and the mom, they decide, no, we have to go back and we have to save Barbie Land. They're going to save Barbie Land. And who do they go to? They go to wise, weird lesbian Barbie. They go back to Kate McKinnon and they ask her about this. And they bring Barbie with them. And they're going to try to figure out a strategy. How do they stop the Kens from winning the vote? Now, you might say to yourself, wait, aren't the women majority? Do they not have agency, the women? They have no agency, apparently. So apparently the women have no agency, and they are a majority, and yet they have to be deprogrammed. They're going to be...
Ben Shapiro's mad that the Barbies don't understand how the popular vote works. What if Barbie Land works off of an electoral college? What if Barbies on the West Coast are really conservative, and Barbies in the Bible Belt are like super religious? I mean... we could really get deep in Barbie politics if we have to. What if 60% of the female Barbies are watching the Daily Wire?
Deprogrammed by weird Barbie and her crazy cadre of feminist heroes.
I love you guys.
And this is when we start getting into the real. You think it's propagandistic so far? Oh man, wait. Here is where we get into like the real meat of it. Okay, so we end up with Barbie complaining. She's complaining to weird Barbie. And she says, oh my God, they've brainwashed all the other Barbies. They've brainwashed all the other Barbies. She says, quote, either you're brainwashed or you're weird and ugly. There is no in between. And weird Barbie says, tell me about it. And this is the perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Once again, I think he's missing the point about what she's saying there. She's saying either you're allowed to be a woman and exist if you believe what the fucking dudes are telling you that you're supposed to be, or you're weird and ugly. It's from a male's point of view. And don't act like you didn't grow up with a bunch of dudes, specifically young dudes. I hope that as you got older and older, these ideas have found a new home somewhere else. But specifically with young men, that is an ideology. That is exactly what young men think. I don't know about young men nowadays. I don't speak for them, and I hope that they're better than that. But I do know people my age group and Ben's age group grew up with a bunch of men that specifically believed exactly what she just said. If a girl didn't pay attention to you, if she didn't take your flirtations the right way, she was weird, she was ugly, you didn't like her anyways. Like, that is 100% what happened. Stop denying that shit happened, man. And hey, I'll even give him this. I hope that in Ben Shapiro's life, he never encountered that. I do. I hope that, because that means that it's less likely than I thought. But I can tell you this, where I grew up, the guys I grew up with, even myself included, those were mentalities that were had by young men. And hopefully they've grown up to be better men. Better men than Ben Shapiro.
Of the film. Either you're a third wave feminist kook who hates men, truly hates men, or you're brainwashed.
Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Ken.
There's no in between. There's no actual relationship between men and women. There can't be any sort of fulfilling relationship between men and women. There are no decent males in the entire film. All the men are garbage. The only man who even appears mildly...
they're Ken dolls. Ben, they're Ken dolls.
...is America Ferrera's husband, who's just kind of a joke. He's there for literal...
Oh, you mean like the real human man? The actual human man was not like a Ken doll? Holy shit, Ben, I think you're figuring it out.
Literally 10 seconds in the film making jokes about how he can't speak Spanish. That's his whole role in the film. Every other man is a piece of shit in the film. Every one. And so, this is the perspective of the film when you come right down to it. Either you are brainwashed or you are weird and ugly. And Barbie's like, yeah, that's what Barbie says. I mean, the only decent male is Alan, who apparently wants to wear pink and probably is supposed to be gay.
That's actually kind of amazing, to be honest. I think that's a reason I'd go see the movie.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be pretty clear from the film. Although, really the take of the film is that all the Kens are gay. That's really the take of the film, is that it's all
James, it's like when Kid Rock shot up the Bud Light, dude. He burnt his Barbies in protest. Ben Shapiro went right in and he was like, I'm sorry I have to do this to you. You've been with me for 40 years. And then he burnt that shit. Is Kid Rock gonna shoot up a bunch of Barbie dolls? Dude, I can't wait for that video.
homoerotic kind of stuff.
Let's beach off.
Anyone who wants to beach him off has to beach me off first.
I will beat both of you off at the same time.
In any case, the filmmakers are so insecure with even their own script that they then have the narrator jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point, right? Because Barbie's saying, I don't feel beautiful anymore. And they're like, Margot Robbie. They literally jet in to say, Margot Robbie might not be the best person to make this point. Then maybe you shouldn't have written the point. Then maybe you shouldn't write it like that. Maybe you should not be a writer. Maybe you could do that.
It's a
Okay,
joke,
no.
Ben.
Okay, this is when we get
Jesus
the
Christ.
full-bore thesis of the film. And guess what, guys? The thesis of the film...
LB, I'm already a bald dude. People already think bad things about me. There's no fucking way I'm going to a kids movie by myself looking like this. Nah, dog. Alright. I'm gonna be like pushing my kid in front of me, like you have to go first. Like she's gonna be running fullback, okay? Like a power I formation. My daughter in front, possibly my wife even. Like I might even like be going like fullback, running back, like a wide receiver reverse. I'm gonna have like 4 blockers. They're not gonna see me. I'm gonna sneak into the movie and then sneak my ass out too.
Film made by women, made for women, made starring women, funded by a studio that is largely staffed by men. The take of the film is that it is impossible to be a woman in the modern age. Absolutely impossible.
That's not the take. Why does he think that? Well, I know why he thinks that, because he's fucking butthurt. Okay, because Ben Shapiro is so mad. He is such an insufferable human being that he has to be mad about this. You're making the very point of what the movie's making. It's a movie by women, for women, about women, paid for by a bunch of dudes that are going to make a bunch of fucking money off of it. Who's making the real money off of this movie? Is it the women or the men who funded it? You're literally making the point.
And so we get this long speech of...
Dude, Bucket, don't make me beat you off, okay? First of all... All right. My 2 sayings for the rest of the summer is I'm going to beat you off and try that in a small town. You're going to beat me off? Try that in a small town.
of America Ferrera talking about how it's so difficult to be a woman. They want us to be this way, but not that way. They want us to be thin, but they don't want us to say that we're thin. They want us to earn money, but they don't want us to earn money. They want us to do this, and they don't want us to do that. They want us to answer for men's bad behavior, but they don't want us to offend men. They want us to do this, and they don't want us... Oh my God, it's so difficult to be a woman. So the same tried, truistic bullshit that they've been propagating in every new wave feminist film for the last 45 years in the United States is now essentially telescoped into this one speech from America Ferrera, including a few cutaway shots of Margot Robbie looking up adoringly at America Ferrera as she explains that it's super hard to be a woman. It's so damn difficult to be a woman. You know why? Because of the patriarchy, because of the men. That's the actual story of the film. And then they...
Okay, dude. I guess I need to see the movie to completely disagree. But I having not seen the movie, I'm going to make an assumption that Ben is making a little more of this than is actually what's happening. Like, they're probably trying to make the point that it is hard to be a woman. It is difficult to be a woman. Try being in fucking Saudi Arabia, Ben. Try being a woman that's not allowed to drive a car. This isn't just about America. The patriarchy isn't just about America. And maybe that's where he's fucking up. Maybe I'll give Ben Shapiro a little credit here. Maybe he's just applying this to his own personal life. Maybe Ben treats his wife really well. I don't know. I apparently he doesn't know what a WAP is. So how well could he be treating her? Okay. But does he understand that when you talk about like things like the patriarchy, it's not just talking about America, it's talking about the world. In places like Saudi Arabia, where women are allowed to drive cars, and places like Iran, where women have to literally cover their entire body with a fucking piece of cloth because men can't handle their fucking penises because they can't, oh my God, sin. Like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? Like, do you think women all around the world just fucking everything's good now, bro? Fucking sign it off. Let's get back to what we were doing. Let's play some fucking video games, watch some sports. Like, no, bud, little bro. Like, little guy, my man, that's not how it is. And even in America, yeah, it's still hard to be a woman. It is. Like I said, we didn't snap our fingers and everything's fine now. We didn't snap our fingers and all the poor black people that have came from fucking slavery are now wealthy and they can get any job and no one sees them as being any different than themselves. No, we're working on it. We're working on it. We didn't snap our fucking fingers, and now all homosexuals have equal rights, and transgender people are seen just to be the same as the rest of us. No. None of that shit is real, man. Like, we're working on it, and that's what you can be proud of, is that we're working on it. But a lot of the world is actually pretty fucking far behind us, and we still got a long fucking way to go. I think you're missing the point, bud.
They make a couple of other dumb references, right? Zack
Your
Snyder
ankles
cut.
are out.
The men, they like the Zack Snyder cut. Wow, that's terrible. Okay, fine. Then they say, you know what we need to do? We need to disabuse all of these Barbies of the patriarchy. How are we going to do this? We need to allow them to live with the cognitive dissonance required to be a woman under the patriarchy. That's a line from Barbie. Now again, they keep doing this. They keep having Barbie drop these extremely literate and well-articulated lines, but she's supposed to be a plastic doll idiot.
Authority should derive from the consent of the governed, not from the threat of force.
It doesn't matter. What is their actual strategy?
Okay, so, like, once again, he's making the opposite point. He just used a Toy Story reference where the Barbie does that. That's the joke, you fucking idiot.
So they have 48 hours to stop this vote, which shouldn't be happening in the first place because it makes no plot sense. Because the men are fascists and the women are victims. But somehow they've been given 48 hours to stop the vote. So what are they going to do to stop this vote? How are they going to do it? Well, they're going to separate the men and the women.
Barbie!
They're going to turn all the Barbies against the Kens. It's so subtle. The symbolism is so subtle. Turn all the women against the men and you will save society. That's the message that you could be shoveling directly into the brain of your 8-year-old girl.
Does Ben seem a little concerned? He's like, what if they do this in real life? I don't think Ben could take many women in a fight, so... Both my sisters definitely could whoop Ben Shapiro's ass. Both my sisters whoop a lot of dudes' asses. Ben Shapiro will get mopped up.
If you so choose this weekend.
Maximum volume.
So, they literally say this, get the Barbies away from their Kens. How are they going to achieve this? Well, they're going to make the men complacent and then take their power. This is how women have achieved power. Now, let me just digress briefly here in how women actually achieved power in Western civilization. The answer is that they lobbied men and men gave it to them. That is the actual answer as to how women achieved power in Western civilization. The amendment to the Constitution that allowed women to vote was passed solely by men because women couldn't vote. It turns out there are a lot of good-hearted men out there who like women and who want women to be able to live.
Yeah, where were those good-hearted men before they were lobbied? Where were those good-hearted men before women protested and marched and fucking fought for their rights? Where were those good-hearted men when women were being oppressed, when fucking women were being beaten in their homes and police officers would show up and say things like, I don't know, you should have just listened to your husband. Maybe you should have had dinner ready for him when he got home. Where were these good-hearted men, supposedly, that gave these women their rights before women stood up for themselves? Where were they? I'm not saying they didn't exist. I'm just saying I have a feeling that women standing up and going, that's fucking enough, I think we're done being fucking shit on, might have had something to do with it. And the fact that he's pointing out that men gave women these rights is the reason that the patriarchy still exists. That is proof that the patriarchy still exists, because little douchebags like Ben Shapiro think men gave women rights. Yet this is also a person that goes to church. This is also a person that believes all men were created equal. I don't know, Ben. I kind of disagree.
Lives that they want. It turns out that many of us our husbands and fathers.
Yep.
Many of us have daughters. Many of us love the people we're married to. It turns out that that actually describes a huge number of Western men, that we are not your enemies. And yet the entire premise of the movie is that what actually...
You are not their enemy now. Now. And that doesn't mean that every man agrees with you. In fact, I know that there's lots of men out there that watch your show, that watch your channel, that love the Daily Wire, and people like Jordan Peterson. Speaking of abuse, how about Steven Crowder? That watch your show, that believe the exact opposite what you said. I'll even give Ben Shapiro credit. I'll even say, hey, maybe he does love his wife. Maybe he does love his daughter. I hope so. I fucking hope so. But if you think that all the other men just magically became like non-misogynistic and everybody like loves women now and women are just equal, like, so you can't fucking snap your fingers and make that happen. It's not how it works. It's progress. And if you don't work at progress, then you deal with what's called the second law of thermodynamics. And that is entropy. Anything left in a state that is not moving forward or progressing will eventually degrade back to its original state. Where were women at 100 years ago? I don't think they want to go back, bud. So I think they're going to keep pushing forward. I think they're going to keep progressing, and I think they're going to keep standing up for themselves, even if that makes you upset.
happened in the feminist movement is that women seize the power away from the men. I'm sorry to break it to you, ladies. It ain't true. It ain't true. This notion that women vote as a block is not true. Married women vote very much like their husbands, actually. Single women vote more like a block.
He's making his own. He's making the opposite point again. Married women vote like their husbands. There's a lot of reasons that we could say that are good reasons that women do that. But there's also reasons such as fucking dudes being dominant in their relationships and making women feel controlled as to why also. I mean, she fucking said it about being brainwashed. She was making that point that you shit on earlier about being either you better be brainwashed or you're ugly and fat and weird. Okay? Like, do you think that has anything to do with the reason that women feel the need to vote like their husbands?
Block now than they did before. But it turns out that people are individuals, and some women vote one way and some men vote another way. But again, the idea here is very simplistic. Men versus women. Battle royale. And that's what this literally turns into, a battle royale between the women and the men. But really, it's about getting the men to fight each other. They bring all the Barbies one by one. They distract them. They bring the Barbies in one by one. And they unbrainwash them. How do they unbrainwash them? Well, they tell them truths like, any power you have must be masked under a giggle. I have a question. I mean, I work with a lot of women. Do they feel like the power that they have has to be masked under a giggle?
Yeah, actually, that's what women used to do. And I'm sure they still do it. Because as long as it's just a joke, it's just a joke. Haha, don't hit me. Yeah. In fact, many men would get upset because women would make jokes and laugh because they felt emasculated by it. And then they would, beat their wives over that shit because they dared to speak up. I grew up, just so everybody knows why this is a very sensitive subject for me. I grew up watching my mom and my sisters be beaten by multiple men. Multiple men, okay? If Ben here lived a enchanted fairy tale fucking life, good for him, bud. I'm glad for you. Awesome. Not everybody did, big guy. Not everybody did. Some of us saw the worst shit in this world. And I can tell you from my point of view that, yeah, this shit happens, and it happens on the regular. I grew up extremely poor. I grew up watching women that weren't my wife, ouch, that weren't my mom, that weren't my sisters, that were just other women in the neighborhood that got beaten. I fought men for my sisters. I fought grown men for my mom. I watched other kids that were 14 years old fight grown men to defend their mom. Domestic violence is fucking real, you piece of shit. Like, that happens. And, like, being condescending and acting like this is all just overblown and exaggerated just shows that you're completely out of touch and have no idea what the other half lives like.
Was this film written in 1943? Who wrote this film? Well, we know who wrote this film.
By the way, I was not alive in 1943. This all happened to me when I was fucking 10 years old. So 89, mid-90s. Yeah. Not 43, big guy.
A feminist writer who gets paid millions of dollars to make horse. One of them says, we have to reject men's advances without damaging their ego. Or theoretically, you could just reject men's advances and damage their ego because what do you care? You have to pretend to be confused about money. Is this a real thing? Like, do women pretend to be confused about money so that men will explain it to them? This is also it's such claptrap. And then my very favorite, do you want some pants?
Did he say claptrap? Isn't that the robot in Borderlands?
Because that's really what this is about, is women really, really want to wear pants. That demonstrates the power of the patriarchy is that men really don't want women to wear pants, and women really, really want to wear pants.
Love your leg warmers.
Nice ass cut.
And then it's, you know,
how
all the
dare she
men
make an
being
adult
victimized, all the Kens being victimized by these various tactics, up to and including Ryan Gosling hitting on a trans woman, meaning a dude who has a voice deeper than Ryan Gosling's, which is an actual scene in the film, which is just great. Okay, so then, final step. Finally, the women have been disabused. So now they're going to play the ultimate prank. The ultimate prank is that they are going to turn the men against each other. How are they going to turn the men against each other? They're going to turn the men against each other by switching partners. They're going to get together, and Barbie is going to be with Ken, classic Barbie and classic Ken. They're going to be together, but then they're going to move on to the other Kens, and the Kens are going to start fighting each other over the ladies because they're going to switch over. Now,
What?
not to put too fine a point on this, but this makes no sense at all. Because guess what would happen if a bunch of beautiful women decided to switch to other men simultaneously? You know what the men would do? They would throw a party. So they turn the men against each other. And
No, they wouldn't. No, good God, man. First of all, it's a fucking Barbie movie. Why am I... Oh, he's making me become so serious about this, and I'm trying not to. My man. Little bro. I think Ben Shapiro just should be referred to as little bro. No, dudes wouldn't rejoice if their wives were like, now we're going to go with this dude over here now. And some other like random chick came up and was like, hey, I'm your wife now. I'd be like, actually, I like that one. I would like the one that I like.
And then we get a 20-minute long segment of the Kens fighting each other using various implements ranging from like small bows and arrows with sticky cups at the end to tennis rackets. And that turns into a musical number.
Yeah, because it's a Barbie movie, Ben. Did you think that they're going to like fucking have tanks and fucking airplanes and fucking hand grenades?
What does any of this have to do with the plot? Nothing. Literally nothing. It is just a 15-minute digression because they wanted to insert a crappy musical number with not particularly good dancing. And then what are the women doing?
I'm going to guess it was like ironically bad. Like that's what it's supposed to be because it's a fucking Ken movie. Barbie movie. God damn it, he's getting to me.
During this time, the women are voting. The women are voting. So now we know the Democratic turnout strategy. The Democratic turnout strategy in 2024 is going to be to get all of the Republicans to fight with one another using tennis.
Oh, it's a Democratic strategy. The Barbie was made as a Democratic strategy. Why does everything come back to elections with these guys? Holy fuck.
Rackets. Well, they go and they do the voting, apparently. So they go and they vote. After they vote, they reestablish exactly basically how it was. The matriarchy. The matriarchy is reestablished. And Ken, who is now really sad because he's lost his power, and all he wanted in the first place was just to be treated decently by Barbie. Is he treated decently at the end by Barbie? Of course he isn't. That would be silly. At the very end, he is told that he needs to learn to live without Barbie.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
He, who was literally created as a doll to be with Barbie, he needs to learn to be apart from Barbie, and she needs to learn to be apart from him because atomistic isolation and loneliness.
Dude, this part of the movie really, this is the part right here. This is what killed it for him. This is what killed it for him. He was personally invested in Ken. He doesn't want to admit it. He was personally invested in Ken, making it through this movie, and getting the reward for being a good boy. And when it didn't happen, Lil Bro was crushed. He was crushed. I can see, look at his eyes, man. He is so hurt. Dude, Ben Shapiro's going to need therapy after this.
is the best way to find fulfillment, ladies and gentlemen. It'll be best for Ken if he never sees Barbie again. It'll be better for Barbie if she never sees Ken again.
A woman has told this to Ben Shapiro in his life. I think this is what happened. I think a woman told this to Ben Shapiro in his life, and this just brought it all back. This is like PTSD for Ben Shapiro right now.
Secular humanism is at its finest. We've reached the apotheosis. Men and women don't belong together. They belong very, very much apart. This is all topped off by Issa Rae calling somebody a motherfucker. Again, perfect for your 7-year-old girl who loves Barbie dolls. Just perfect for her. And so
my kids here are a lot worse than that for me.
we learn that men and women are supposed to be separate. They are not supposed to be together. And that maybe the matriarchy will allow the men not to be on the Supreme Court of Barbie Land, but maybe they can get some lower circuit court judgeships. This is what we learned.
Oh yeah, like in real life, how many women have the Republicans put on the Supreme Court again? How many? Oh fuck, I think it's 0, isn't it? Is it 0? 1? Did they get 1? I think did they get 1 on there? Oh, it's a really far stretch for them to make that joke in the Barbie movie.
And we learn one day the Kens might have as much power and influence in Barbie world as women have.
Amy Cohen Barrett. That's right. They got 1. Redeemed.
In the real world. Because, of course, women are, again, just absolutely subjugated in the real world. You think that's the end of the movie. Wrong. This thing has more endings than Lord of the Rings. So, ending number 1 is we find out that Ken is going to live apart from Barbie and he's going to find himself in being Ken. The utter joy of self-exploration. Next, we get an end.
I want to see Ben Shapiro review Lord of the Rings. I bet he was so butthurt by that.
Ending in which the CEO of Mattel, who's been completely sidelined. You remember the CEO of Mattel? Remember he was supposed to be chasing them into Barbie Land for no apparent reason? So he's now in Barbie Land. We don't know why he's there or what he's there to do, except that we need Will Ferrell in the movie to provide no laughs. He doesn't provide any laughs. So he shows up.
Dude, you work in show business. It's just a shameless attempt at attaching a name to a movie.
His motivation throughout this movie has been completely inconsistent. He started off wanting to put Barbie back in Barbie Land so that they could make money. And then he is told that...
How dare he be inconsistent in this movie that's about Barbies?
At one point that when Kens have taken over Kendom, they will make just as much money. He's like, no, that cannot be. I'm an ideologue on behalf of women. And then he arrives and he is told that America Ferrera wants to make ordinary Barbie, which, by the way, would sell 0. Anyway, that will be profitable. And so now he wants to make ordinary Barbie because he's back to being uber capital.
He just judged a fucking, marketing plan in a made-up movie.
Evil capitalist who's making money off of Barbie because, again, Mattel are the bad guys, but they're also the good guys. But they're kind of the bad guys, but they're mostly the good, but they're a little bad. And so that's ending number 2 at this point. So we have the Barbie Ken ending. We have the CEO of Mattel ending, where he says, we'll make ordinary Barbie, and then girls all over the world will know that ordinariness is fine and okay. Because it's not that girls play with Barbie because they think that she's beautiful and it's aspirational. No, it's bad. Okay, so then we have ending number 3. You think you're done? Wrong. We're now 2 hours deep into this piece of shit. And we have now dug halfway to China, and we are going to keep digging. So we have ending number 3. Rhea Perlman shows up to lecture us all about the patriarchy again. You haven't heard it enough. We got to beat this sucker into the ground. We are going to take an axe, the blunt end of the axe, and we're just going to beat this thing to death. We're just going to beat it to death. So Rhea Perlman shows up because Barbie, it turns out, she spent too much time in the real world. That was the patriarchy and was terrible. So terrible that she wanted to stop it from happening in Barbie Land. But now she wants to go back there because she actually learned some feelings over in the real world. So she decides that after all, this whole story was just Pinocchio, that she just wants to be a real boy. And in what can only be termed a sort of bait and switch, at the very end of the film, just to please the core audience, which is moms and daughters, they insert a bunch of footage, I kid you not, like home video footage of moms and daughters playing.
Oh,
that's what it is. Like people living their lives in female ways. Because Rhea Perlman is going to show Barbie what it's like to be a human, and then Barbie is going to say that she really wants to be a human just like you, just like you. And so they hit you with the nostalgia play. At the very end, the whole movie, which should have been nostalgia and about moms and daughters, instead, the entire movie is not that. The entire movie is instead about how men are evil and terrible. And also Mattel is evil and terrible. And then at the very end, they shove in this little nostalgia play in the hope that they can buy back the audience at the very end of the film. And Barbie decides that she is going to be a real woman now. Now, when she goes, that's ending number 3.
I've got to cut him off here for 5 seconds. Does he realize that this is a movie that was clearly licensed by Mattel? Like, they don't just make a Barbie movie without without Mattel accepting that they're going to make this movie. They're going to make a bunch of money off it. He keeps like talking about how they're villainizing Mattel. I think he's missing the point of why the Mattel board is being used in this movie. This is why he failed as a scriptwriter. This is why he couldn't make it.
There's still one more. So when that happens, when she goes into this white area that's supposed to be heaven, because the person who she's talking, Rhea Perlman, is actually the person who actually created the doll. And we're supposed to be, this was supposed to be a secret, is that Mattel was run by men, but the big secret all along is that a woman created the doll. News. It's not a secret. She was CEO of the company for 30 years. CEO of Mattel for 30 years, like 1945 to 1975, until the IRS caught her for tax evasion or something. The big reveal that the patriarchy said that it created Barbie, it didn't. No one thought the patriarchy created Barbie. Again, don't bother with the facts. Don't bother with sense. Don't bother with chronology. None of it matters. So Barbie is now sent back to the real world. And she is now going to experience the apotheosis of what it means to be a human.
Nathan, I'm struggling. I don't know if I can make this through the last 6 minutes, man. This is like, it's literally gotten to the point where it's just like, he's just like rambling and it's just hate speech at this point. How does he know this much about the movie from watching it once?
Human woman. So we've learned early on in the movie, when she goes to the real world, she's catcalled by a bunch of the construction guys, and she says, I don't have a vagina. And she, again, amazing line for your 7-year-old girl. She'll love it. So apparently, when she is turned into a real woman, she has now grown a vagina. So the first thing that she does is she goes to the gynecologist, because ladies, the apotheosis of your being is not motherhood. We got rid of that at the very beginning. And it's not being a wife or a partner, because women are supposed to be apart from men. It is your vagina. It is that you go to the gynecologist. Ladies, this is what makes you the most human you can be, is that you go to the gynecologist. Now, I could point out here that that's really transphobic. That according to the same people who made this movie, not all women have vaginas. And not all people with penises are men. I could point that out right here.
Jesus
because
Christ,
it obviously conflicts with the very ending of the film. But instead, I'm going to go with this one. At the end of all of this, they've boiled down. They have a whole conversation about identity and death and meaning. Right? This whole conversation. What does it boil down to at the very end? What it boils down to at the very end, apparently, is being biologically female is the only thing that matters. And that's it, kind of. That's it. Like, it all just boils down to a lady at the gynecologist. That's female power. Female power is Barbie goes to gynecologist, which
going to admit I've never been to a gynecologist. I don't know what that entails, but I have a feeling Ben here is making a lot more about this part of the video than actually was supposed to be made of it. But the real Ken doll had no penis, Ben. He's gone off the rails, Bucket. He's gone off the rails.
I don't know about you ladies, but that seems like that's not like the most feminist message, that lady parts are the entirety of the lady. So excellent job. And with that, we end the film, and then we have the glossy, credits with a Nicki Minaj song, a Nicki Minaj version of "I'm a Barbie Girl in a Barbie World." This movie started off as Barbie.
It would have been better if it was WAP.
Weird Barbie. It was the toy that was handed off to Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig, and they played with it too hard. They decided that they were going to turn it inside out. They're going to rip off the hair. They were going to shave it. They were going to make it ugly. They were going to put all sorts of makeup on it, and then they were going to throw it out in the public. Now, those of us who are on the right, we look at the politics of this movie, we're like, man, so it sounds like a double sandwich. It doesn't sound like a Big Mac. It sounds like a double Big Mac. Right? It sounds like the plot is crap, and the characters are crap, and the humor is crap. And then on top of that, the politics are crap. But you're missing the point. There's a reason this film has 91% on Rotten Tomatoes. And the reason is, if you are on the left, you can make one of the world's most boring, crappy comedies. You can waste an extraordinary amount of money and talent. You can waste some of the great IP ever created. But as long as you slather it in a bunch of...
Dude, the cope is so strong. He wants them to fail so badly, and then when they didn't fail, he's like, no, it's not because it was good. It's because it was really, really bad.
Warmed over glorious Steinem nonsense. The critics will just salivate over you. They'll pretend that this is an actual good movie. So here's my prediction in terms of market. The marketing campaign for this movie has been astonishingly good. right? If you walked into this movie and you knew nothing of what I just said, what would you think this movie is? You would think that this movie was probably something like the Disney movie Enchanted, but with Barbie.
No.
It's going to be Barbie in Barbie Land, and then it's going to be Barbie in the real world, and it's going to be charming, and it's going to be funny, and it's going to be warm-hearted, and it's not going to be vicious and cynical, and it's not going to be what morons talk about at Hollywood cocktail parties. It's just going to be fun.
He's just really mad that none of the like weird right-wing movies that are like super badly produced, and some of them even have like an okay like storyline or plot, you know, like I said, these conspiracy theorists come up with amazing fucking stories, right? Like some of the shit they come up with aren't bad. Even what is that fucking movie that's out right now? It's about child trafficking. Like I haven't heard anybody be like, well, we hate it because it's about child trafficking. They're like, it's shit because it's actually just like a really poorly produced movie. Like it could be like so much better. Like the storyline and stuff isn't like bad. Like I think he is. I think he's just mad that they did a good job and people liked it.
It's going to be a place where a mom might be able to take her 7-year-old or 8-year-old girl and enjoy themselves together and then walk out with their arms around each other. You might think that's what it was going to be. And undoubtedly, millions of moms and their daughters will think that. That's what you're seeing at the theaters. That's why you're seeing everybody wearing pink to the theaters. It's become like a Star Wars kind of thing, right? It's an actual cosplay of it. The number of moms who are going to take their daughters back to the theater week 2, good luck with that.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Like, okay, maybe I'm just weird, but I don't take my kids back to movies to see it again. I don't know. Do rich people do that? Is that like if you're affluent, like you do that thing? Like, do people take their kids back to see a movie after the first time that they already did it?
Really, good luck with that. Hollywood decided to empty out its own IP. Here, they decided they were going to take a golden piece of IP and they were just going to smash it and turn it into Weird Barbie. And I got to tell you,
fuck.
And this is going to have some ramifications for Barbie the brand. I don't know why Barbie the brand would hand this property over to people who clearly hate the property. In the real world, the patriarchy rules. Men are really bad. Women need to separate off from men and hate men in order to be unblinded to the patriarchy, and then they can overthrow the patriarchy and create paradise. That is the thesis of the film. Last comment. Whenever I do film reviews like this, lengthy film reviews of movies like this, the left is always like, why are you taking this so seriously? How dare you take this so seriously? Well, because this is a movie where hundreds of millions of dollars will be expended to get people to watch it. It has a heavily political message.
Holy fuck.
It is explicitly designed to divide men from women. It has these negative messages directed at kids. It is supposed to be a kids movie. It's rated PG-13. It is not marketed to PG-13. It is marketed to PG. It is marketed to moms who are going to skip the PG-13 rating and bring their daughters there anyway. It's a culturally relevant moment, a very culturally relevant moment. And so the entire left's attempts to play the face tattoo syndrome, watch as we take a piece of children's IP and wear its skin around like a mask, like Hannibal Lecter, and we notice it. And then
what the fuck is he talking about? Holy shit. Holy slippery slope, Batman. This is all these people, like, they're so scared of everything. These people live in fear of people breaking into their houses, people robbing them on the street, people peeing on buildings, people turning their kids into trans kids. Jesus Christ, this is what happens when you live in fear all the time. You see fucking things in the shadows. What is it? There's a guy in the bushes. Does he have a gun? I don't know. Red team go! Red team go!
And then they're like, you noticed it? You're obviously very upset. I find it upsetting when material that is based on children's IP, marketed to little girls, actually ends up being angry feminist claptrap that alienates men from women, undermines basic human values, and promotes falsehood all at the same time. And I think a lot of people are going to have a right to be mad. So we'll see what the income trajectory of this film is. By the way, it's just going to die in China. The overseas market for this film, good luck with the Chinese Communist government putting their kids in front.
No. Don't worry. We watched the video. They put the 8 dashes in the map, so it's all good now. It's all good.
This sort of stuff. It is not going to happen. Final rating. Out of 10 Barbies. How many Barbies? 10 out of 10 being good.
Already.
The answer is negative all the Barbies. Negative all of them. I honestly, just as a piece of film, this sucker goes in like my bottom 10 ever. Ever. It is that bad. Not just because of the politics, because the plot makes no sense, because the writing makes no sense, because the acting half the time makes no sense. The entire film is a dog's vomit. It is a dog's breakfast of film. So yeah, I'm gonna go with negative infinity Barbies. It is that bad. If 10 out of 10 Barbies is like the stereotypical Barbie, this is Barbie head atop the robot body made by the weird kid from Toy Story 1.
Please stop.
That's what this is. And also, by the way, Oppenheimer's good.
Oh my God, thank God it's over. This man just made a 42-minute rant about a kid's movie. Thanks a lot for watching my video. If you liked it, hit that like and subscribe. If you'd like to join the Ginger Army and help support me for only $3 a month, you get to support a soulless ginger. You also get access to the Tantrum Trump and Prison Trump emojis. And don't forget to join me every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific for a live stream with yours truly. Thanks a lot, guys. Love you. Appreciate you. Stay safe out there.